Not yet. Hey, Almitra. Thanks for coming. All right. Let me make you a co-host right quick. Uh, co- All right. We got Donna. Are you here as a participant, or are you going to be doing the translating? Oh, I do. Thanks for joining Culturally Responsive Portfolios. We'll get started in a few minutes. For right now, you can access the slide deck so you can be ready to roll. We'll be getting started shortly. Go ahead and access the slide deck. And yeah, we get started in about 3 minutes. Thanks for coming. This is Culturally Responsive Digital Portfolios. And with here with Amitra Baba. And I'll introduce us in a minute. We'll introduce each other anyway. Please go ahead and access the slide deck. I see most of you are on it. Thank you for coming to Digital Portfolios, culturally responsive digital portfolios. And if you could tell me if anybody is here for the to do the captioning or to do the translation, please let me know and I'll make you a co-host. Welcome, welcome. Go ahead and access the deck. There's the bit.ly. All right, folks. Welcome, welcome. This is toward a culturally responsive multimedia digital portfolio. There's a lot of different things within this space that we're going to talk about today. We're going to get down and deep into Zaretta Hammond's Ready for Rigor framework. Well, I'll tell you as we go through and introduce the agenda and introduce ourselves in just a second. But please go ahead and access the deck. And Amitra from KQED is here, but we'll introduce ourselves officially in just a little while. Thanks for coming. If you haven't signed in, go ahead and sign in. All you have to do is sign in once. That's how you get paid. And there's the deck one more time. And I think we got a good amount of folks here, so we're just gonna get rolling because there's a lot to do. And this is one of my favorite sessions to lead. And so I keep packing it with different information. So that's a bit of a collage that I make, a bit of a collage that you're gonna make later in this session. But yes, the title is CRDPs, or Culturally Responsive Multimedia Digital Portfolios. Let's do a little introductions. I am Ricardo Elizalde, Digital Learning Partner in the Department of Technology. There's my email in case you have any questions at the end, and I'm here with Amitra Vava, Director of Education Partnerships at KQED. I hope that's still her title. It was last year. We've been presenting this for about 5 years, and each year it tends to change a little bit. Well, I'll tell you when we get to the agenda, but I'm excited about this one because I added something just yesterday that makes this beginning of this session a little bit more potent. Go ahead in the chat. We've told you our names. I support elementary schools, cohort 1 elementary schools. Tell your name, school, and grade, and one thing you're hoping to take from today. And you know, maybe have a sheet of paper or take some notes as to if there's anybody in your grade or subject area that maybe you can connect with and talk about this further, extend this conversation in portfolios. And meanwhile, if you haven't gotten the deck, the bit.ly is there, and Amitra will be posting the sign-ins and the slide decks in the chat. So who are you guys? Go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, just take a second and drop it into the chat.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So we have Anya Treisman, recent SFSU teacher, credential graduate. Congratulations. Subbing in SFUSD for a year now and was a long-term sub at SF Public Montessori. Right on. Second and third grade. Yeah. Dondre, itinerant 10 para. Adana is here. Latin 6 through 8, special ed, co-teacher. Learn more about portfolios. Yes, thanks indeed for kicking us off, Anya. Couple more folks. Travis, thank you very much. Mission High School Agroecology. Oh, how interesting. Interested in different approaches to portfolios. Thanks for coming, Travis. Rachel Moore, Transition Services at Thurgood. Thank you for coming, Rachel.
Hey, Larissa, it's good to see you here too. K-8 Science Support, not in SFUSD, but happy to be here and learning today. I'm glad you're here too. It's good to see you.
Right on. That's very good. Hopefully you have access to all the docs. Hopefully I made them accessible beyond SFUSD. I think I was supposed to. All right. I'm going to continue with the day because otherwise it's going to get ahead of us. Alex from Francisco Middle School, it looks like. All right. Opener. Get a sheet of paper in front of you. Open up your cameras and grab a pencil. Grab a pen and a paper on the scale of 1 to 4. 1 equaling I don't know, and 4 I can teach this term culturally responsive digital portfolio to you. Open up your cameras, write it down. If you're a 1, then you're just gonna go like this on that sheet of paper, and then you're just gonna hold it up. And then I might cold call on you a little bit and see if you can, if you don't know the definition, if you do know the definition, maybe you could share it with us. This used to be a breakout room thing, but I don't think we're gonna do the breakout room for this. So everybody ready? Give me a thumbs up, open up your cameras, and get to telling me 1 through 4. What do you think? Where do you land on the spectrum of culturally responsive portfolios? Okay, Emily is a 1. Latrice is a 1. I'm not yet created. Yeah, but you could try to give us a definition. Lots of 1s. 2. All right. All right. Let me see. So go ahead and show your paper up so that the people in the audience can see. If they're not looking at the chat, they can look at the camera. 2, we got 2s, we got 1s. Thank you for holding up your signs. Adana, thank you. Anya, thank you. And all right, so it looks like we're gonna have to craft our own definition because there's a lot of 1s here, and that's all right, man. Because we got some information for you, and maybe we'll ask you again at the end of the session if maybe your 1 moved to a 2 or something, or maybe your 3 moved back to a 2, and now you're really confused. But we'll try to figure it out as we go through. Yeah, let's see if we can figure it out. Thank you, folks, for engaging in that little bit of a do now, and we're gonna jump. It's supposed to say discussing trios, but it says discussing trios, but we're just gonna move through this because it's kind of a packed schedule. All right, here it is. Told you. And think of it in 3 different chunks. There's our part right now: intros, objectives, norms, equity frame. The connection to culturally responsive teaching, which was going to be the story of how this professional development session came about. Ready for Rigor Framework overview. So Zaretta Hammond's Ready for Rigor Framework. And then we're actually going to apply the Ready for Rigor Framework to a project that was done, a portfolio project that was done at Sanchez Elementary School this past year. And so you're gonna explore some resources. You're gonna look at the Ready for Rigor Framework, but then you're also going to explore some resources of what happened at Sanchez Elementary last year, and tell how it makes it a culturally responsive portfolio. And you're going to have that discussion on the Jamboard. Almitra is going to tell us about the content connection and the KQED partnership, because, you know, a portfolio is simply an empty vessel that you have to fill with artifacts, that you have to fill with reflections, that you have to fill with community building exercises where students are looking at each other's work and giving each other feedback. So it's just the beginning. Creating the container and creating the artifacts are just kind of the beginning of this stuff. So Almitra is going to tell us about how the content fits into that. We're going to do a little bit of creating something on Adobe Express. It's a really simple kind of a about me poster that we're going to create. And we're going to create a collage on it. And then we're going to create your portfolio container and put that collage into that container. And so then in turn, we're going to give you a slide deck so you can go ahead and do that with your students. And so right off the bat, when your students get to school, next week, you could start on these activities, and then throughout the year, maybe once a month or something, or once every 2 or 3 weeks, you have them reflect on their learning and add to their portfolio and add the different artifacts to their portfolio. And then we're gonna close. All right. Norms, you keep liberation for the oppressed at the center, be part of the solution towards liberation, and be present and comfortable in discomfort. And I invite you to be comfortable in that discomfort when we go ahead and talk about the Ready for Rigor framework, maybe, but also when we engage in the creation, because, you know, when you're dealing with technology, sometimes it's frustrating, and so let's be uncomfortable, but be okay with it, and something's gonna happen, something good's gonna come out of it. Any questions so far? We're good. Everybody's got the slide deck in front of them, so you can get your links. Yeah. All right. Objectives. Those 3 right there. We're going to apply a lens of culturally responsive teaching to digital portfolios. We're going to examine the cultural responsiveness of one school portfolio project, and we're going to build our first make artifact and connect it to culturally responsive practice. I'm not sure how I did that last end all that well, but yes, those are the aims of today. So here's the connection to culturally responsive teaching. The Ethnic Studies Department invited me out to go see Zaretta Hammond speak, and I'd been doing some work with portfolios since my new teacher days at Benjamin Franklin Middle School. And so somebody gave me a thumbs up for Benjamin Franklin Middle School. Thank you. And so, you know, they sent all these teachers from Benjamin Franklin to Harvard to Project Zero to get some training in portfolio development. And I was there and I saw it, and it was all paper, it was all file cabinets and stuff like that. And then, you know, like 15 years later, I go to hear Zaretta Hammond speak, and she's talking completely about cultural responsiveness, but then about a vehicle for it to happen in the classroom being portfolios. And so I took that, connected it with the work that I was doing, and tried to get you specific resources for each part of a portfolio creation. One thing that she says is dependent learners have been conditioned to be passive. If they're to become independent, we have to provide them with tools. And I think creating a portfolio, teaching multimedia tools is a way that we can provide them with tools. Checklists and rubrics and all that stuff are also tools to help students navigate your classroom. So am I going to go into this document? I don't think I'm going to go into this document. You could look at it on your own. I think I invite you to take some stuff from it later. But this one tells you the different parts. Well, actually, I am going to go into it. So it's kind of an older document. I connected it to the graduate profile about 2 years ago. And it tools, platforms, and links in the middle and the different part of the portfolio on the far left. And so if you go all the way down, there's some resources that we're going to be using some of today. But just take a glance at it. I believe we used the 40 reflection questions today. But there's some good resources in there as you're developing your portfolio. And it kind of set up this professional development session as well. Or it's at the heart of this professional development session. So we're going to look at the Ready for Rigor framework. And it is 4 parts, the Ready for Rigor framework. So the next 4 slides are going to give you an overview of that framework. Plus, there's little clips of me reading questions to get you prompted to that aspect of the framework. You're going to then be asked to apply the Ready for Rigor framework to a school portfolio project. And the work was at Sanchez. Manuela Wolf was the teacher that was leading some of that work. And so we're gonna explore that a bit. Make sense so far? Yeah? Okay. So awareness, you could go ahead, take about 20 seconds to read these bullet points, and then I'll play this for all of us. And then be thinking about how does this connect to your practice and how does it connect? How do you think it connects to portfolios? So go ahead and read it. Take 20 seconds to read it. I'm going to stop you and I'm going to ask these questions. Since you have the slide deck on the speaker notes, these questions also are at the speaker notes, so you could look at them there as well. But let's take a listen.
Awareness begins with you, the teacher. What connections can be made to support awareness when creating artifacts as a part of learning? How do you understand and see the diversity of your students? Bring yourself into the activity. Share yourself with your students. Understand the culture and norms that are a part of their identity. Acknowledge the power structures at play in learning structures. Recognize the context that your students exist within.
Okay. So now we're going to go to learning partnerships.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you, on the left side, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Hello. Make sure you're muted, please. So go ahead and give it 20 seconds to read. Same tack as the other one. This was awareness. Now this is learning partnerships. I'm going to play the recording. Here are the questions.
How might digital portfolios cultivate a learning partnership between you and your students?
All right. Very simple question. Now we're going to information processing. Same deal. Read a couple of the bullet points or all of them in 20 seconds. Let's listen to the questions one more time.
What cognitive routines do you currently employ in the classroom? What opportunities do you give students to bring in their community or everyday lives? What opportunities can you provide for feedback, revision, and formative assessments?
All right. And we got the last one, which is community of learners, learning environments. And then you're going to actually try to apply some of this information to a specific setting at a school. All right. Here are the questions to prompt your thinking.
How do you build in discussion around student projects? What are the opportunities to build student voice and agency.
Okay. All right, you got a quick overview. It's there if you need it, if you want to go back to the slides and read them again. And now applying the Ready for Rigor framework. So this is new. This was a workshop that I led all last year with mostly Manuela was doing it at her school, and I went out and I was at her school a little bit, but she pushed the kids forward. And you're about to see some really wonderful work. But how do we call it something that happens as a culturally responsive portfolio? So here we go. Applying the Ready for Rigor framework. Last year, Sanchez Elementary School began portfolios in one classroom. You're going to browse through the podcast video and web page below to learn about their project. So each one touches on the project. You don't need to listen to all of the podcast, but a good chunk, a good 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. The video, I think she is the speaker in the first half of the video, so it's like 1.5 minutes. And then finally her project discussing portfolios as an assessment tool for learning. We're gonna break up into breakout groups. I'm gonna give you time to decide with your group what you're going to explore. And then I'm gonna invite you to add to a Jamboard. And then we're gonna come back and talk about it all. So let's do breakout groups, Almitra. How many people do we have here?
We have 75.
We do not have 75 people here, do we? Really?
If you count us, 76.
Oh my goodness. So let's make 25 groups.
Okay. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to do that?
Let's see. I haven't done it. Let me see. I could do that. Breakout rooms include co-hosts. No. We're gonna say 25 breakout rooms. 25, maybe 24. Let's participate, assign manually. And this slide and the next slide is what we're talking about. And before we send you, I want to go to the next slide. So here's the work that you're going to explore. Maybe give yourself like 3 to 5 minutes to explore it. Then after, go ahead and jump on either this Jamboard or this Jamboard. And I think that's it. Here's the Ready for Rigor framework, a PDF of it if you need to look at it again, or you can go back in the slides and check it out. And I think for the whole total discussion, we're going to give about 7-8 minutes, adding and everything to the Jamboard as well. All right, here we go.
I'm setting up the timer, Ricardo, and then we can broadcast the links to the Jamboard when everyone is in their room.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Did I have it on the links page? The links to the Jamboard?
It says 67 people are unassigned. So maybe folks have not joined yet. Will you just double check that? If you haven't had a chance to join yet and are having trouble joining, let us know in the chat. Otherwise, go ahead and join the rooms so you can have those conversation and do a bit of exploring in the 7 minutes we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says folks are not assigned.
Yeah, we haven't been assigned yet.
Hey, let me try this again. Here.
Yeah, folks are waiting. It says they're getting a message. Please wait to be assigned. I see 66%. So I think 66 folks not assigned. So I think 24 rooms have been opened. There we go. Yeah.
Does that work then?
I'm going to open all the rooms and see if that works.
Did I forget how to do this?
It says all participants have been invited to join breakout rooms.
Okay, join the breakout rooms. Thank you very much, Almitra.
Yeah. It says no. Medina, can you, so you don't see the link. Do you want to close them out and then let's open them back up again and do a random assign of 24 rooms?
Yeah, let me just start it all over actually.
Absolutely.
So we're not doing it yet, right? So
Nope, it's not. It looks like folks have not, the rooms have been, you put the rooms in, but they're not been assigned.
sign automatically. It's because I pressed the wrong thing.
Yeah, apologies, everyone, we're getting this squared away. Give us just 1 minute. And thank you for
Should be
letting us
squared.
know. Yeah,
Yes,
it looks
I'm
like
sorry.
it's all squared.
I'm out of practice.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for your patience, everybody.
What I know, I already, Alicia, how do I know if I've joined? Let me just double check that you're in a room. It looks like folks are getting into rooms, but half of you have joined into rooms so far. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, it looks like everyone's been assigned to a room. And some folks are in their rooms and some folks have not yet joined. Yeah.
Could I assign Geneva?
I'm sorry, were you asking me that?
Yes, I was, but it's fine.
Okay. I'm going to broadcast out the links again, just to make sure everyone has them to the Jamboards.
Thanks. And you're gonna broadcast it to the chat, or the breakout rooms?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I just did.
Thank you very much. Oh yeah, you did. Oh, that's great. All right, so 10 minutes. So what's that? 7 more minutes from now?
So you said 7 minutes, but we're just getting everyone in there. So it looks like a fair number of folks have gone into the room and are looking at the links and digging into the resources. So do you want me to set the timer now for about 6 minutes and then I can
Yeah,
broadcast?
that's perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, timer set. I'm going to broadcast. Folks have. And if you wanted to just again put the specific instructions for what they're doing in a broadcast, that probably would be helpful because of the little kerfuffle.
Okay.
So brief.
Explore. Franchise. Other work franchise. Oh, touch it.
There's a couple of rooms where there's only one person. So I'm
just transfer
suggesting,
them over.
yeah, so I'm just trying to move them over. So in room 11, one person hasn't joined, one person's there. So I'm going to move them to room 12.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't anticipate there'd be this overwhelming number of folks.
Right.
It's fantastic. So there's 2 folks in here. There's 2 folks engaged in talking in here. There's 2 folks who are muted in room 15, so they must be watching.
After the discussion, maybe, yeah. Discussion.
Room 17, those folks have not joined, so they just kind of maybe they're piecing out. Mr. G hasn't joined. Miss Laura is by herself. I'm going to move her to room 21.
Great. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah. This is like just organizing. It's my favorite. Okay, and Emily is in a room by herself, so I'm just going to move her up to room 23. And then I'm going to broadcast just because there's so many groups, which can lend to generative conversations. Do you have another spot where there's breakout? For sharing out towards the end in the past, you've done like people share out in groups and then come back. So if there is another spot, my one suggestion is if we do bigger groups,
Yes.
then it might be easier with the number of people that, like, it looks like there's just a handful of people who haven't joined.
Okay.
Oh, hello. Sorry
Hi.
to bother you.
Yeah, hi.
This is Sarah Kawas. Hi, Ricardo.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, but I just, I rejoined after being away for a year.
Uh-huh.
SFUHD, and I don't have my SFUHD email, so I can't open up any of your links.
Oh no.
I can see the
Um,
slide deck, but I can't access the material we're supposed to look at now.
Oh no.
I think there are a bunch of people in that situation. I don't know if they're here, but definitely in my last workshop, a lot of people's emails have not been turned on yet.
Well, how about
If I try again, could you approve me? Like to get access, or you probably don't want personal emails on there, right?
No, well, I just don't want to go into Gmail and add personal emails right now.
Yeah.
But I could play the stuff for you here in this setting right now.
That would be awesome. I'm interested in the Machu Picchu one.
Okay, so let's listen. Let's listen to this then.
Sorry to.
No, we'll play a good 3 minutes, 4 minutes. and-
Ricardo, can I just do a broadcast? Anyone that's having trouble getting in, come back to the main room to hear the resources?
Yes, that's great. Let's do that, and then if you give us about 30 seconds, Sarah, then we'll play it then.
And then I don't know if you see this message from Kamari. So I have a message from Kamari I'm sending to you.
150 for one person, right?
Please mute your microphone. Oh,
I'm not sure where that's happening. I
got
can't
'em.
see just because of the breakout. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna broadcast.
that's fine. That's great. All right. All right, Sarah, you ready? I'm gonna play the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm gonna skip like the first 30 seconds because, well, let's see what happens. Welcome to Stories from the Digital Learning Field. In this episode of Stories from the Digital Learning Field, we travel to Sanchez Elementary School and visit with fourth graders and one of their teachers. Everybody say hello from Sanchez Elementary School at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Everybody say hello from Sanchez Elementary School. 1, 2, 3. We discuss how these fourth graders turned a photography project about morning routines into a multimedia project with voiceovers. The project was inspired by the work of Martín Champi, a Peruvian photographer who documented the daily routines of his people. Now let's listen to the fourth graders tell us about their process. Good morning, everybody. I'm here at Sanchez Elementary School with 6 fourth graders and Manuela Wolf Johnson, here a teacher at Sanchez, and today we're talking about a project that they did with multimedia, and we're going to start with this young man to my right.
What was the project about you?
Oh, Ricardo, did we lose you for a second? You're muted.
Yes, shoot, I'm sorry. I went to go help somebody in a breakout room, but I thought that then you probably lost audio, right? So here, I'll play it from about a minute. Here a teacher at Sanchez, and today we're talking about a project that they did with multimedia. And we're going to start with this young man to my right.
What was the project about you with Mr. Camacho? It was a project about Martin Chambi and daily routines. And Martin Chambi was famous person that take photos about his family and Machu Picchu. Perfect. Thank you. And how did Martin Chambi gather information? What did he do to gather information?
So what he did, he took pictures like of his town and he took pictures especially of Machu Picchu when it was like when it got destroyed and stuff like that. And he took pictures like of his family and stuff.
So
Another family.
perfect. Thank you. So now, how did you yourself, when the teacher transitioned from showing you this daily routine of this Peruvian artist, photographer, how did you yourself figure out how to go gather information? What did you do?
We did so the teacher gave us these old cameras that the photographer used, and some of us took photos of the school or from our houses, and the teacher needed to take those cameras to the store where they could get the photos and pictures.
Perfect. And then this was a writing assignment in the fall. And then what did you guys do, Miss Wolf Johnson?
So we had wanted to start a digital portfolio. So Mr. Camacho and I used our collaboration time to say, let's start and just dip our toes into this new tool. And we started, and we wanted to use a project that they had already completed so that they can focus on learning.
All right. I'm gonna stop it there, and I'm gonna invite you to go to the Jamboard. I think anybody can edit that Jamboard and kind of tell, why do you think this is a culturally responsive piece, or maybe you don't think that it is, and maybe what part of the Ready for Rigor framework it touches on. Does it touch on awareness? Does it touch on learning partnerships? Does it touch on information processing or community of learners learning environment? So I'm gonna go back up here and show this, and then here's the Jamboard about where you're supposed to be. And I'll broadcast. Are we all back already? Let's go check out the Jamboard to see what's going on. All right, cool. Thank you, folks, for engaging with the Jamboard. Let's give a couple more minutes to the Jamboard, see if what the work at Sanchez, what was it touching on cultural responsiveness. Yes. Hello. Hi. I guess all the people aren't back from the breakout room, so I'll close in a minute.
Everybody that's on my team. We haven't discussed it.
Julieta, did you have a question?
No, I don't. I thought I'm going back to the main room.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Okay.
here. So we're ready to listen.
Okay. Add to the Jamboard if you haven't yet. We're gonna be back in session in about 3 minutes or so. All right, I'm gonna close the rooms, folks. That's cool. All right, folks, so it looks like you're back. Continue adding to the Ready for Rigor framework Jamboards, or the Jamboards that you can access here, and we'll talk a little bit before we move on. There's a question in the chat that I'll respond to right now. The question is, what exactly is meant by a portfolio? Portfolio is simply, for purposes of today, is simply an online container where you can put student artifacts and put student reflections. And so what we're creating today is one student artifact and then the container to place that in. And then we're going to put our artifact into that container. And so the structure of today is kind of like for you to how to set it up for your classroom. And then you're going to be given a slide deck for how to do that with your classroom. And a portfolio invites the self in as well. So there should be like an about me space where the student talks about themselves. And that's what the collage today is going to be about. I hope that answered the question. But if not, we're going to be developing stuff today, and hopefully you have a better sense of what a portfolio is by the end of today's session.
We have a hand up from Stanby.
Yeah, great. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me here. My question is the media release, because I'm going in and I'm looking at the work that's been put out. You know, do we need to cover ourselves? Because we're looking at the student's face, background, and some information. And, you know, there's a lot of paperwork on as an educator.
As long as it stays within your community, it's okay. And you could lock it down so that it just stays within your community.
Okay. So let me get this right. So I'm looking at express.adobe.com. It's only shared because you guys are sharing with me, and that's how I'm able to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, but I went in using a different private browser, and it shows up.
Huh.
So that's why I'm curious about it. How are we protecting our students?
A
So you
lot
can-
of stuff,
Yeah.
the stuff that's here doesn't have student faces all that much.
No, let me share the link because I couldn't share that with my partner when we were in our group. Hang on, give me a second. This is the information. This is what I was looking at. I'm gonna share this link with the group right now. This is the link that you guys share, and I went in. Anybody can copy and paste the link, get a private browser, and it will show up. So then it begs a different question: how do we protect our students? Because anybody can go in and look at the work that's been put out.
I didn't think you enabled sharing.
Repeat that, please.
I did not think you enabled sharing because I cannot share.
Oh no, they didn't share that. But what I'm saying, when I go in, it's in the chat right now. I'm sharing I'm looking at the link that was shared to us. It's at https express.adobe.com. The link that I share with your group. If you copy and paste that link,
maybe we opened it for the presentation.
yes,
And then you can lock it down.
okay. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means when we do digital project, it's up to us as teacher to open and close it.
No, mostly it'll just stay closed unless you open it.
Okay. So it stays closed at all time unless it's expressed
open
by. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to check. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right,
Thank you for the question. It's a very important question. All right, let's look at some of these Jamboards before we move forward. And we only have 45 minutes, so no. So somebody said for ready for rigor, for awareness. If you wrote this, can you open up your mic and read it so you just don't hear me talking the whole time? And we'll do a couple of these and then we'll move forward. All right, maybe I'll read them. The children were encouraged to explain their learning in their own words. It also sounded like the project allowed children to apply what they studied to their own community. Very cool. It does raise awareness. And I think there was a few more over here on this Jamboard. Good to learn from each other by showing each other's work at the same time. Students learned about the diversity of indigenous populations and then in turn, turn the camera on themselves, right? For learning partnerships, students were engaged with the assignments, came up with questions on their own. Students had time to build on and revise information, building the essay, and then learning environment. Students seem to learn about indigenous people, and then students can learn at their own pace or together with others in a supportive environment. Okay, fantastic. Thank you folks for joining that. All right, so let's move forward, everybody. There's a digital portfolio website that needs to be revised, so we won't go too deeply into that. And then finally, we have the content connection from KQED. So this is Almitra's portion.
And before I jump in, there was a hand raise that went down. So while I transition, we have time for a quick question. So I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but I did catch out of the corner of my eye that there was a hand raised that went down. So if there's a question, feel free to unmute and ask a quick question.
It wasn't a question. I was just giving a bit of input on what we had just learned on how the portfolio helped the students to be, to have a voice, to be outspoken, to help, socialize, things like that, and to help see themselves and have more confidence as their journey through education, because that can be, can be a bit scary, but if, you're using these assets, more and more kids will be more confident, be able to have public speaking, et cetera. That's all.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much for that addition.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm going to jump into KQED resources, Kamara, and I hopefully will answer that question. As questions come up as I share these resources and opportunities for students to be engaged, to be creating, to be able to share themselves, please just drop your questions into the chat. My contact information is also, I think, at the beginning and the end of our presentation decks. I'm so glad to be able to answer any questions or be a thought partner to you as you think about, the role that portfolios will play, or specifically media making as KQED supports educators.
Almitra, there's one question asking about elementary school students and KQED.
Yeah, and I think I'll be able to, through the section that I'm going to share, that question will be answered. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. So you should be able to see my screen now, Ricardo, if you give me a thumbs up on that.
Yes.
Yep. So KQED is, as you probably know, your PBS NPR station here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We were founded out of a couple of county offices of education back in the 50s, before my time, your time too, Ricardo, probably most of our time. But for the last 60 years, we have been supporting educators in bringing storytelling, digital storytelling, civic engagement into classroom context. So here is what we're currently offering. We have an education department that provides educational services free of charge, openly available. We've partnered with SFUSD for many, many, many years now. And we have these high quality resources. The goals around our work more broadly, just so you kind of have a foundation of why a public media station does this kind of work. We think we can play a unique role in building media literacy skills, both for our educators and the students that you're supporting in building learning. We think it's important to empower and amplify young people's voices, building a practice of sharing, communicating, arguing from evidence. And we think we have a platform for doing that. And then along the way with our curriculum and our professional development, our intent is to encourage civic discourse and civic engagement. So in doing that, how we go about supporting is through creating opportunities for young folks to make and share media, and by supporting educators to bring standards aligned media making projects to your students. So that's where I enter into this presentation on Digital District Day, of which I've been coming to and kind of being a part of for many years. My son has carried around this lunch bag from Digital District Day. I think it was 2018 for a couple of years now. And so I'm always like, oh, and it's actually this day, not just the lunch bag my son carries around. So we also have this priority around reaching underserved student populations. It's really important to us. So KQED, so you know, has a whole wealth of professional development. We have online courses, workshops, self-paced courses. The goal with all of that professional development is one, open, available, accessible to educators to meet you where you might want to be in building skills. So these are free, openly available. And the intent there is for you to jump in where it makes sense and to build skills and build practice. So every single workshop that you'll do with us has a learn by doing model. So you're not going to just sit and hear about audio production and the role it might play for your students, especially if you're doing digital portfolios like the examples we heard. What you'll get is really hands-on experience in doing audio production yourself, whether it's your first time doing it or whether you have your own personal podcast. We're really wanting to support you in getting hands-on with the tools that your students will be using. They'll probably create more interesting things than you will, largely speaking, but getting you comfortable with those tools so that you can troubleshoot with your students as they're doing media projects is one of our primary ways that we're wanting to, and the model that we employ for doing professional development. Here's a couple of free online workshops. We usually offer a workshop or two every single month. So with back to school time, here's our slate for August. So jump in, join us for all kinds of different, really kind of very focused workshops where you're going to get hands-on. My invitation to you all, and that the link to all of these, and you'll see that we are offering throughout the school year, is there. Jump in, join us for an online workshop where our professional development team will lead you through an exploration of these tools and provide support for you bringing these kinds of tools into your learning context. We also have self-paced courses, just so you know, if you haven't encountered these before. We have 11 self-paced courses where you can jump in, everything from making media to evaluating and analyzing media courses to support for implementing and assessing media in the context you might bring them into your classroom. Every single self-paced course that we have on this platform, KQED Teach, you can get instructor feedback. It's an opportunity for you to connect with other people who are building these skills, exploring these practices for their classrooms and their students' learning contexts. And new this year, you can earn CEUs for completing the courses. And so we have a partnership with 2 different universities. So if that's something that makes sense for you, you can earn CEUs for doing coursework with us. On the media making front, where we really want to lean in right now is for middle and high school students. This curriculum is designed for students to create media, share their voice with an authentic audience. So each of these media projects that we call challenges, they're not competitions, but they're challenging and rigorous work, standards aligned, and support student media literacy development. So these have been scaffolded down to upper elementary, but the publishing site that we have, which is part of the projects, is not open specifically for some of the things that we're discussing around privacy issues. So these are only available for our older students. So each project kind of invite students to participate in a different genre of writing. So we have Call for Change, which is an issues-based commentary that we can support our students in, doing a persuasive commentary piece. They can create a video, they can create an audio or podcast, or they can do an editorial cartoon And then for first person, we invite students to create and narrate from their first person perspectives. They can create a short film, do an audio essay, or more increasingly popular and new this year are photo essays. And then finally, we have Show What You Know. So it's an opportunity for students to do an informational media piece. Often that's about, something they learned, explaining a concept, describing a topic or an experience. So they can create basically mini documentaries. They can do also a podcast, which has been really popular, or they can create an infographic. So these are media projects, curriculum that we've developed for you. They're all in Google Docs, so you can customize them as makes sense for your students, for your subject, for your classroom. And so again, just these projects are open to grades 6 through 12, rolling submission. We have a submission portal or publishing site for our older students. And there's all kinds of resources for you, including student releases. We have, parent engagement letters, samples for you in there, the opportunity for students to really share their voice and their stories connected to some rigor around topics that are of interest to them. Really is great for culturally responsive digital portfolios. So personal narrative, commentary, informational projects are all the options that I just outlined for you. And again, the curriculum is modifiable and accessible to middle and high school students. Most of the curriculum, and this is also new this year, is available in both English and Spanish. And again, these projects are not a contest. There's not like a winner, but the submission portal is just a space for students to publish. We at KQED review every single media project that students submit to the publishing site. And then we do some work to elevate those voices to our television programming in the form of little interstitials or short kind of in-between programming. So we've had several of those this year. We're going to be increasing the number to probably 30 or 40 student submissions will be featured on television. Even more are featured on our radio programs. And then we also do a lot to share digitally. Again, we have these challenges, can be scaffolded for upper elementary through grade 6 through 12. But the showcase or publishing site that KQED has and hosted, it's moderated by teachers. So you create an account and then give your students access to your teacher code. So then when they publish, we don't know a ton of information about them, but we have information about you in the event that we need to connect with you about your student submission. Mostly it's, we probably had 200 submissions that we then brought to a public audience. We do all the work to make sure the media releases have been covered before we do any public sharing. So we've done the work of making sure, just again, to address the earlier question, for this particular work and project curriculum opportunity, to make sure that it is, we're protecting our students' privacy. So here's first person, and that's a personal narrative. And here's sort of the sequence. Students choose a personal topic, such as a life-changing moment, something that they've learned from, an experience that they've had, a significant event that's happened. They write a personal narrative script, and then they choose audio or create a short film, and then they publish the piece onto our showcase. There's lots of resources. I encourage you to just check these out. We have a teacher toolkit. We have student project materials in English and Spanish. Here's some examples that I put into the deck for you to just reference later. We've had these approved, so they're all available for you to view and to show your students as examples of media that other students have created. Most of these students are in the Bay Area, many of them San Francisco Unified students. Here's some short film examples. And then for the next project, the commentary, here's the sequence. Students choose a topic or issue, then they write a persuasive commentary on the issue, then they get to choose, or you choose for them, depending on what you're wanting them to do, to create an audio or video. And then they have the option of publishing to our showcase site. Again, we have a whole slate of tools for you, teacher toolkit, student project materials for these commentaries in English and Spanish. And here's some examples of the audio commentaries that have been submitted. Here's some examples of video commentaries to give you a sense or to show your students as exemplar texts. And then here's some editorial cartoon examples as well. For the For the informational media project, students choose a topic, concept, or event. They do research and then create a plan for the informational media to explain their topic. Then they choose audio or video based on the information that they've gathered, and then they publish to KQED Showcase site. Again, there's a teacher toolkit for this project, and the student project material, again, is available in English and Spanish. I've added some links, informational podcast examples here, and many documentary examples that students have created in the last 2 years. So this is an invitation for you to explore this opportunity for students to be creating and sharing their work. These are really wonderful to put into digital portfolios. Lots of opportunity for there to be culturally responsive connections, building in that Ready for Rigor framework into any of these media projects. So I'm going to stop there and see what questions folks have. All of the links are in the doc. Everything from the teacher toolkits to the student showcase site to our professional development calendar and links to register. And there, yes, there is, we can drop in the bit.ly link again for the full deck.
Right on. All right, cool. Thank you, Almitra. That was amazing. That was a lot of information. Hope you guys are not gonna get too overwhelmed with this information, but just take what you can and come back to the deck later and get a little bit more and go like that. The next piece is actually you're gonna create something, and we have about a half an hour. So we're gonna get it done. Let's see. So the first thing I want to do is share my deck or share this. All right, everybody can see that okay? And we're going to talk about the tools. So you're going to need the deck in front of you right now. And we're going to talk about the tools that we're going to use to build your portfolio. We have access to these tools, and so do your students. And so Almitra talked a lot about creating media, and that's fantastic. But that media needs a home inside your classroom, a digital home inside your classroom. And that's what the portfolio container becomes. But before you invite students to create the container, I like to invite them to create something that shares a little something about themselves. So you could do this activity with your students at the beginning of the year, and then you'll have like an artifact to use to put into that container. And so the goal of the next part of this PD, of this last half hour, which I hopefully will make it, is to create something and then to create the container for it and then put the thing that we created inside of the container. So bear with me as I go through these slides before you get started crafting what you're going to craft. All right, so you're going to create a new project. Now, Adobe Express always comes with updates, and so they have quite a bit of updates this year, and so they have a beta of Adobe Express. So the graphics look a little bit different, but it's still the same tool that you can do the same stuff with. You're also going to create a Google folder. And like I said, portfolio building tools, there are others, but we will concentrate on these. Okay. So this is the student version of the slide deck. I wanted to rehash it this year, but it's gonna be like this year as well. All right, so some pre-portfolio work. These are instructions to the teachers, so to you all. Have each student create a Google Drive folder and title it first name portfolio 2324, very specifically. Have them create that portfolio because you want the artifacts to exist in one place. So when you invite them to go find the artifacts, they can go and find them in that folder. Now, if you didn't do that, then you'll probably be able to find it anyway, but this just will make it easier for them. You can consider having them change the color of the folder so they can find it easier, but just naming it is fantastic. We're gonna give you a getting started doc. And this getting started doc looks like this. And if you want to use this document, go ahead and use the template, and then you can change it however you see fit to fit your context. And so I always like to start with a little bit of a collage. And so my About Me collage brainstorm is answering these questions. So if you guys can jot down a few notes on your own about what you're listening to, what you're watching, playing, making, what brings you peace, what brings you joy, what kind of a learner are you, and what do you want people to know about you? Go ahead and jot those answers right here, and then we're going to do something with those answers. And we're actually going to put you in breakout rooms in just a second, but I'm going to give you a few more instructions before we get sent to the breakout room. So take about 2 or 3 minutes to jot down just words in that box below or on a sheet of paper. It doesn't have to be on this template. If you don't want to look at the screen and write and type, that's fine. Just go ahead and grab your sheet of paper and then jot down a few notes for yourself about what kind of a learner you are, what brings you peace and joy.
I may set the timer for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Almitra.
And Sarah has a question, will this be our prompt for breakout rooms?
This will be the beginning of your prompt because you're actually going to create something in the breakout rooms. All right. I'm going to go over here. And then note to teachers, again, edit Getting Started doc as you see fit. Post Getting Started doc in Google Classroom. Make a copy for each student. And instruct students to save Getting Started doc into their Google Drive portfolio folder. All that you could do with your students. You don't have to, but it's a nice way to start the year. And then, of course, you review, you create your own Getting Started doc, and you share that with the students, and they can have an example to look at, and they can look at each other's examples as they're developing this. So we're doing the Getting Started doc. We're creating a collage on Adobe Express, and we're going to create portfolio container and add our first artifact. Okay, so this is a student-facing deck. It kind of goes over some of the same instructions. No questions yet, Almitra?
There's a couple of questions before we jump in. There's a question about the availability of Adobe. Is it in Clever for SFUSD for students? Can you just give us
It is in Clever. It is one of the things that you could, yes, it's in Clever. And then also you can go to express.adobe.com and it'll get you, as long as you sign in with your Google credentials, it'll get you in there.
Great, and it is in the cloud, yeah?
Yeah, it's all in the cloud. It's all saved to the cloud. And but you have a way to get in with your Google credentials. So this is the About Me collage. This is what you're doing with the About Me collage. There's the brainstorm, which is that pre-work doc. There's that template, same stuff. And then there's a video for how to create a collage right here. We're about to go into breakout rooms, but so I'm gonna do a live version of creating the collage here. So if you wanted to stay in here, that's fine. But we're also gonna open up 20 breakout rooms, and you guys can go into those and make your stuff, or just leave your camera off and just make your stuff. So I'm gonna say watch the video because it hesitates a little bit, but yeah, let's watch the video.
Portfolio makers. In this video, I'm simply going to walk you through the construction of the About Me collage. First, you need to answer the questions on the digital portfolio about.
Here, let me just do it live, actually. Okay, so I'm gonna go over to express.adobe.com. So if I wanted to see the beta, I would go up here and I would switch over to the beta, but I don't want to see the beta. I want to see the old one, and I'm just gonna go here And I'm going to create a collage. I'm going to create my collage. I'm going to say Arches National Park, because I went on a Southwest tour this year with the family, and one of the cool things that I found was Arches National Park. Kind of tripping. I'm gonna select this one and this one. It's taking me a little while. Okay. I like soccer, so I'm gonna select. I'm gonna type it full. Kind of glitching on me a little bit. Football. Like that one. I like turntables, so I'm gonna type in turntables. And I'm gonna select this one. And you can put original pictures or not. And I like cooking as well. So I'm gonna like some good food. And then very simply, I'm going to say next. I'm gonna pick this one right here, the square. I'm going to say next. And there's my collage. And I could start talking about myself with this collage. Oops, we ran into a problem. Okay. And the second thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close that, and I'm gonna go to text, and I'm gonna add my text. And very simply, for the purposes of today, I'm gonna put about me. Very easy, very simple. If I want to change the color of that, I can. If I want to move it, I can. That's it. And that's all your exercises is you're building a collage, 5 pictures about you. You're going to call it your about me, and then you are going to save it. We're going to say about me 23. And then I'm going to download it. You guys good? You think you need, maybe not breakout rooms. We'll just stay in here. And if you have a question, please ask. Let's just go ahead and craft this first piece for yourself. And let's take about, I'm going to say about 5 minutes, because it's 2:27 already.
Great. So we're just staying in this room, but I have, for those that asked, put the directions in the chat. Hopefully that's helpful. Other questions come up, we'll answer them individually and just share them out with the whole group.
Yeah.
In the event that someone else is also interested in the answer to the question that you have. But we won't do it live, so we don't disrupt you, but feel free to mute or turn off the sound for the next 5 minutes while you get started in Adobe Express. And Ricardo, will you take a peek at the questions that are mostly about Adobe and accessibility across computers?
It does work on all computers, Chromebooks, maybe not the best on iPads, but probably it has an app for Adobe Express that you can sign into. Taylor, we're gonna talk about creating the container within Adobe Express, but by all means, there's if you look at the mild, medium, and spicy portfolio session that I did earlier, it has some really easy ways to get started with Google Slides. And I guess the suggested platform is whatever you're comfortable with, and just introduce one tool at a time. And if that's the tool that you're going to use this year, then go ahead and do that. You don't have to do the beta test. Just go ahead to the normal one, to the regular one, and by that I mean this. I think I put. So this is what the regular one looks like. And this is what the new one looks like. And you can toggle back and forth between these two tabs to get to the old one and get to the old one and get to the new one. The new one is the beta, yeah? I was gonna have them share Almitra on the shared slide deck, but I don't think that we don't have time for that. I'd rather just have them put this into their container.
So Sarah has a few questions.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, there's chat. Sarah, do either sign in or click? Do I have to sign up? You don't have to sign up. It's the district email. sfusd.edu will get you in, and your students as well. Does anybody want to see me do it one more time on Adobe Express? Or are we good? We're about to close this part. So do it again.
Laura says yes.
All right, here we go then. I'm gonna go back to home. I'm starting at the beginning. I'm going to the plus in the left top part. I am going to choose collage, which is the fourth one down. Yeah, I know it is slow. It's slow on mine too, Sarah. We just have to bear with it. The video also plays, and so if you need to see how it's done, the video does it as well. So after I finish this, you guys can go back to the video and check it out. So I put full. Here you just put your terms, yeah? I think I chose this guy, maybe not. Let's see. Workshop, because I like to work. So you put all your images in here. I did arches. And I'm going to stop at 3 images here. And then I'm going to select next. I selected the first one, which was square. And I said next. Yes, Kamara, we will create the containers before leaving. I think we're going to jump right into it, actually. So here I'm going to edit, and I'm going to put in about me. And there it is. And then that's it. I'm just going to simply download it. And I'm going to download it as a PNG or a JPEG. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name it so that I can find it. About me. to start download. All right. So now we're just going to launch into creating the containers, folks. I hope you made something with 5 pictures, with 1 picture. You added some text. I hope you did that already. But this is our first artifact, right? And now we have a piece that we can talk about. But where are we going to talk about it? Where are we going to hold it? And so I'm going back home. And so we're skipping part of the discussion because we only have 12 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you guys create your container before leaving. But it's pretty simple. And whenever you come back to Adobe Express, you just look for projects and all your stuff is in here. So these are the different pieces that I have. All right, so I'm going to go into Plus. And this time I'm going into, just to let you know, newsletter, portfolios, and web page, it's all the same place. But I'm going to pick web page. And right here, I'm going to pick Elizalde's portfolio. Create and build community. I don't know if you want to give your kids some sort of, I don't know, some sort of a subtitle to their portfolio. And here I'm going to pick an image, and this image is going to be on my backdrop here. So photo, I like an old journal as my photo. And it could be your real journal, but it doesn't have to be. They got some good ones here. I like this one. And there's the dashboard of my portfolio yet, right? But it doesn't have anything in it yet. And so I'm going to scroll down. And it says scroll to start writing your story. And I want it to get to where I can see photo, text, button, video, photo grid, glide show, split layout. And I'm going to choose for this, I'm going to choose split layout. Very simply. Here, I'm going to put my about me section. Over here, I'm going to add my container, my collage. If it opens up, but it's not going. You're right about this thing using too much power with zoom on. Let's see if I can add it down here. Is it just a photo? Caramba. All right, let's see if it can happen now. Okay, so over here it opened, and maybe it opened before and I wasn't looking at it, but upload photo. And then I got my downloads, and I know my About Me 23 is in here. For your kids, it'll go into their Google Drive directly. And there's my About Me. I don't think I made this one today. I think I made that one the other day. But now I have something to talk about, right? And so you could either have the kids write about what they're going to talk about, or you could have them record later. But this is essentially the beginnings of their portfolio. You haven't created the community yet. You're just simply putting one artifact into a portfolio. And it's your job throughout the year to continue to add different pieces, whether you're going to grab some content from KQED and have them talk about it, and have the students create some sort of multimedia pieces, whether you're going to create an infographic or a poster. The thing is, it doesn't have to be digital either. The way you could make it digital is simply by taking a picture. There was a question about sharing. So let's look here with sharing, publish and share link, or just send to Google Drive. And then you don't publish it. You could just keep it in-house. That's one way to do it. Let's look to see where it says publish and share link. It's a save and process, so So share. They could share it with you right here. They could share it with their teachers right here. And like that. All right, folks. So it's 2:38. We get out of here in just a second. We kind of ran out of time. But that's how you create your container. I would turn around and share this deck with your students, like all of this with your students, and then you have gotten started. If you know, there are video tutorials here for how to do everything on Adobe Express. They're about 1.5 years old, but the way you go about it is the same. This is from Hoover about 1.5 years ago, and there's instructional videos for every part of building the Adobe Express pages, which are the web pages that we just talked about. So if you wanted to add a split screen, there's one to add a split screen. If you wanted to add audio to your collage, there's one to make the instructional video. And so this is for you to use. Yeah. Let me go to the end here, because I think we better close. And again, a reminder that Adobe Express Beta is available, and you just toggle over here. But if you wanted to go to Adobe Express, the one that I worked in today, then you just keep it here. That's the prior version of Adobe Express. Here's my closing. Links in this deck. Here's the section with all the links. Hopefully that's useful to you. Essentially, it just goes back into the slide deck so you could access the thing, but it's all in one place. Please give me feedback so I could bring you better information, and continue this work of extending student voice via portfolios and making them culturally responsive in the process as well. We go down a little bit more. If you want to fill out that form to get a hold of me, I will email you after you fill out that form, and we could even do some professional development at your school, going slowly through this process, thinking about the year, thinking about the scope of what you're going to tackle for the year, and what can be portfolio artifacts, and where reflection fits within your work with the students. There's us. There's a portfolio website. It needs to be updated. It's not updated yet. And then there's this beautiful podcast that I found. There's a platform called Mahara, and they talk about portfolios in upper ed, right? So like in college. And so it's just a really powerful portfolio podcast that talks about the making of portfolio, how it can be an assessment, how you could use AI in portfolio development, that kind of stuff. It's really a wonderfully engaging podcast to talk about portfolios. This is us, Dr. Ricardo Elizalde, digital learning partner with my colleague and friend, Hamid Travaba. And then dot resources. If you have not seen these dot resources, these are amazing. Those are the amazing group of people that I work with. And my cohort is cohort 1, but if it's portfolios, they'll probably invite me in, and we do professional development at schools, and with small groups and with big groups. And like today, it's a big group, but sometimes it's just 2 teachers, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen our instructional guides, go take a glance at them. K to 5.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Before I sign in, I forgot to sign the 7 hours. Just sign in.
Oh yeah. All you have to do is sign in.
But now I can sign that again.
Yeah. All you got to do is sign in the morning or in the afternoon. Just sign in once.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In the morning I sign already, but I just got the form. Then I still go sign in again.
No, you only have to sign in once.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and then do the feedback form so that we know you were here.
Feedback from this morning, I forgot to do the feedback form. Now I do it. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Don't forget to do mine.
Oh, okay. I do it you, but morning I
Mine
forgot.
first before anybody else's, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Beautiful.
wanna
Getting
share
started,
some
guys.
about the feedback form, because I did the feedback form from the morning one, and I go back in,
Let-
all the
let-
data's
let me-
there.
Let me finish, and then you can ask me questions.
Okay. Sorry.
There's digital agency curriculum, and there's lots of other pieces for you to explore. If you don't know about our D-Leaf program, check it out. And new website for Seesaw. Yeah. Anyway, folks, thank you for your attention and for coming. Hopefully, we didn't run too much information into this, but thank you for engaging in the work. And if there's any questions, please ask about signing or whatever else. Sir, Mr.
Thank
Stan Lee, go ahead and ask a question, man.
Thank you very much for everything. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So thank you, Ricardo. I was gonna say, the Google form, I think you're using the exact same form. So the information I put in the morning is still there. So if I submit that already. And then when I try to do your form, it populated all the information I had previously.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what that's trying to tell the group, okay, it should have been a different form.
oh man. Well, we all wanted to populate on the same spreadsheet so we could see all the sessions and see all the information that people give us. I don't know. Can you go back and erase the stuff? I think it's already recorded. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Would it help if at the end you click submit another response? Because that's what I got. I could
Thank
edit
you,
my own
Emily.
response, but I could submit another one.
Yeah, that
Oh,
might
so you
work.
got to submit it and then do another one. Thank you very much.
That was already submitted. All right, I'll try that too.
All right. All right, folks, with nothing else, I'm gonna look at the chat one more time. Thank you everybody so much. I hope it was all right. And off you go to your next session. I think there's not much more. Thank you, Almitra, very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Elizalde. That was like a jam-packed, nutrient-dense, overview of pretty complicated stuff. So hopefully folks just take what they can and not feel overwhelmed, but feel like there's a little gem, a little jewel, just a little bite, whatever you have the appetite and capacity in your stomachs for. If I'm just gonna keep going with that like a metaphor.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. I hope you got something.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please email me if you have other questions, or I'll meet you. All right. I think I'm going to close the room. It's 2:45. Ciao, everybody. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Ricardo,
Thank
will you hold for 1 second? Somebody was asking for the slide
I
deck.
will, by all means.
Instead of putting in, I'm just gonna send it to her.
Okay.
Mika, hopefully you got that.
Is that Mika? Mika Kelly?
Yes, I did. Yes.
From way back
Hi.
when? Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
Thanks.
Yeah. Right on.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, Paulina, Amber,
Audrey.
Luis Sierra. Of course, Luis.
Wait, let me find the get to pay page. I think it's at the very beginning of the presentation deck.
Yes, it is.
Is it the PD sign in form, right? The that first app smart sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Lowry, let me drop that for you.
Thank you, Judith.
Thank you.
I know it was Judith a lot. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Hey, Dan.
We got to get people to our next sessions. Just sorry.
Everybody out.
Leaving.
Okay, so I already filled that out. So that's the one. Okay. That's the
Yeah, you only
second.
have to fill it out once, huh?
Yeah, it's
I
a
just put
sign
it-
in form. I thought it was something separate for the pay.
No, I think it's just that.
Okay, I filled that out this morning. Thank you.
Perfect, man. Thank you. All right, good folks. I'm gonna close the room because it's kicking me out. Be well, everybody. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful year. Take it easy.
Same.
Yep.